You know, you've inspired so many football players, so many kids, and I honestly saw your speech last year, and so many of the stuff that you said, I know how that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
And what made you make that speech? Like, what was?
Well, I think that one of the big reasons why I wanted to write that speech and I wanted it to be good is I found myself on stage next to Kobe Bryant and Peyton Manning. Do you know those guys?
Yeah, of course.
So Kobe, Laker, Peyton,
yeah.
he was an NFL guy. And all three of us were getting the same award, this icon award from the ESPYs. Yeah. And the ESPYs, for those who don't know it, is this nationally televised Oscars, right, for sports. It's the biggest award show for sports throughout the year. And all three of us were getting this award, and I just felt like overwhelmed in gratefulness. I was so proud. And also, I felt like, wow, we women, we finally made it. You know, like here we are, we're getting the same awards. And the light turns off in the camera and all three of us walk off stage, and I realize instantly, and it like slaps me in the face, that the three of us were walking into very different retirements. So the reason why I wrote the speech and the reason why I have dedicated myself to women's rights, to equal pay and equality overall since I retired is because of this moment. Yeah. Is because I thought that I was insulated and that sexism and misogyny didn't relate to me because I was on the national team, right? But here I am finally really truly experiencing this moment that, you know, Kobe and Peyton were having to figure out where they're going to invest their hundreds of millions of dollars. And here I am struggling and terrified trying to figure out how I was going to pay my mortgage that month, right? Yeah. And so this is the experience that I understood that every woman has. Every single woman has this experience. Definitely. On average, a woman has to work 12 years longer to earn the same amount that a male makes having done the same job. 12 years, right? And it's even bigger in sports, mind you, right now. So that's why I felt inspired and motivated, because I truly believe that there's no reason why women need to be paid differently. Because, you know, the people argue with women having to take maternity leave. It's basically a maternity tax. There should be legalization and policy that's created that both men and women should be required to take time off. And I know that Iceland and some countries actually do this. And also, like, let's think about this. Like, women are literally creating our future economy. Like, the future of our lives and our livelihood is reliant on women. Like, women should be getting a bonus for doing this. Like, seriously. Thank you for your service. Like, you're adding to our world. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of why, and I'm so pleased that the speech was as impactful to people as it was to me, and it's turned into a book. I call it Wolfpack, and it's been a wild couple of months, couple of years, you know? Yeah.
But there are areas where women's not even allowed to play football.
It's crazy.
How sick is that?
So,
you know?
It's so unfortunate.
And that's why, like, this show just, like, be inspired and me talking about with strong women like yourself to tell you, listen, it is, first of all, okay to do sports. Secondly, you can become to this person. Yeah. And when you grew up, how important was it for you to have female role models? Because I'm going to be honest, until I started playing on the national team, I've barely watched any women's football because there wasn't any. I didn't know any players until I was like, oh, this is wamback. Cool, thanks.
Yeah, but this is so many women's stories, right? Yeah. Like, I was in the same boat. Like, I idolized Michael Jordan growing up, and so much of that is because there was no marketing. There was no women athletes on television for me to watch, right? So when you think about some of the sexism and misogyny that runs rampant, right? Like, you think that the women's national team is more popular than the men's national team, right?
I would say so.
Right, you would say so. You're in the game and you get it. Well, the men's national team makes more money. And you think women have earned more respect here than the men's team, but that's actually not true, right? No. Because the women's team respect is money, right? Like, you will get paid if they respect you enough, if they think that you've earned it, right? So I believe that when you look at the whole of the conversation, you have to talk about media.
Yeah.
Media is a really important factor because that's how people see. You can only be something if you can see it.
Yeah.
There are pioneers, there are women out there that are fighting for something that is yet to be.
Yeah.
And those women should be made into heroes, right? And I think that the Mia Hamms, the Billie Jean Kings, women who came before us that put women's sports on the map.
Yeah.
But now that we have some sort of platform, now it's the responsibility of the media to cover it. Do you know that only 4% of the sports that are covered in all of media are covered by are about women?
No, I didn't.
4%. That's abysmal, right? So like for you to be doing the show, that shows me that BN is committed to trying to solve for that problem.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when we're on our social media feeds or we're consuming media, that is creating a bias.
Yeah.
That is creating an understanding of what is possible, right? And so the messages that's sending out to our daughters and our sons of what you can be and what you can't be, those things you can't go back. I don't know why I have always believed that I could do whatever I wanted. I'm an anomaly, right? And then I get into the women's national team culture, and that is the belief system there. So I've landed in the right place.
Yeah.
So many kids don't get to experience that because not every kid is going to be good enough to make it onto the national team, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But every kid should be afforded the opportunity and the right to believe that they can be whatever they want. So it's going to take a little bit more time, but we have to get more commitment and funding for media, for the people to see what is actually happening, because this Women's World Cup is so inspiring. Like, I mean, I get chills. I get chills thinking about how awesome and powerful and strong and unified some of these teams are. I get fired up, sorry.
No, how's the World Cup been so far for
It's
you?
been amazing.
Yeah.
It's so great to watch some of my former teammates and then watch some of the younger kids come in. You know, I think that this might be likely the most talented team that the United States has ever fielded.
Yeah?
For sure, it's the best front three that I've ever seen. I mean, think about this. Tobin Heath, Alex Morgan, and Megan Rapinoe.
That's crazy, I know.
A, they're on the same team, and B, they're on the same line. They're in the front three.
Yeah.
So 2 out of those 3 could have a terrible game or take up the attention of the entire back line.
Yeah.
And that still leaves Megan Rapinoe open, or Alex Morgan open, or Tobin Heath open to have a game, to have a blinder. It's like, for me, and they're all genuinely happy for each other.
Yeah.
When one is successful, they're all successful. And that's something that you don't find everywhere, right?
Yeah.
You don't find a group of women who are badass and type A and all think that they're the best in the world, rightfully so. It's hard to get all of them on the same page, believing in the same idea and the concept of what team means. And we all do this more, we all can go further together. Instead of apart, right? And I think that's why our national team has had so much success, because we really do rely on each other and we hold each other's strengths and weaknesses really firmly. And where my strengths lied, you know, might have been where Alex Morgan's weaknesses rose, right? Yeah. So I was able to cover up some of her weakness with my strength. And the more you do that around the field with all the partnerships that happen throughout a game and all of the connections, the more chances you give yourself. I know that people were upset about the Thailand game. I know that there was a lot of controversy around the USA team celebrating or scoring so many goals. But here's what I need to say to the world, and I think it's so important.
Say it.
Not only is that the way that the women's national team's mentality is, but we believe that that's the only way you can respect the game. And this wasn't against Thailand, and this is not even against FIFA, right? This is just about progress, and we're just a little bit further down the road than a Thailand is. But this gives Thailand the information. This gives Thailand an understanding of how far they need to go, and this also gives the Thailand's federation an opportunity to go, you know what? We need to start investing a little bit more into these women's teams, into our women's team. They made the World Cup. That's great, right? But what we need to do is actually start expanding our mindsets and grow the game. And also, I think we all have to go inside of ourselves and figure out what we believe to be true about what women are allowed to be. Women are allowed to be powerful. women are allowed to be successful. Women are allowed to celebrate their wins and successes. And also, this is like such an important moment for women, because I was getting this in my Twitter, like, oh, well, men, I would say this about the men. Okay, that's fair. You might say this about the men, but the men aren't competing for their livelihood during these World Cups. They're already making the millions and millions of dollars. These women are fighting to earn enough money so that they can pay their mortgage, figure out what to do next, right? Like if you score a goal in a World Cup, you celebrate that goal, no matter where you're from, no matter what the score line is, because this is a part of how we actually survive. Bummer.
Wow, man, that's
Yeah.
you killed it.
Yeah.
Everything
Cool.
you say, I'm like, oh, speech, speech.